Breaking news, Justin Baldoni just got a big win, meaning Blake Lively got a big loss. I mean, is it not a little hypocritical? Is this a bad look of her if she's trying to tell the courts that we should stop talking about this in public? The Wayfair object to the fact that even as modified, the subpoena continues to cover call text logs revealing the phone numbers for anyone with whom Wayfair parties and others individuals communicated.
They didn't do that. They went a scattershot approach, which is always likely to fail.
Blake Lively is caught in old footage revealing that yes, her secret plan is to always take control of the movies and lie to the directors to get it.
It was a really strange position to be in because I felt like I want to just be an actor. I want to have more authorship. I knew that they just wanted me to show up and look cute and stand on a little pink sticker where I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say. But I also knew that that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing and the costume design and creating the character. And sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that and invite that once they saw that I was able to offer that. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to feel fulfilled. So I think that for them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull.
What really happened is we were like, we're going to show the movie, and the studio was like, no, you're going to show 20 minutes. So we're like, no, we're going to show the movie. And they're like, it's not done. And I was like, shoot. They were like, if everything's not perfect and it's not done, and what if we're going to change things? I was like, got the movie with me on the airplane. Like I have like a folder with like a disc, like a hard drive.
They want an actress. They hire an actress, they pay you to be an actress, that's your job. But then you do exactly what Justin's accusing you of. But she thinks this is okay and proudly displaying us, we're women, so we can just lie and cheat and steal our way into control these big movies. I mean, how disturbing is this to you?
Blake Lively, ordinarily praised by the internet, just watched her and Ryan Reynolds' careers take a nosedive after Justin Baldoni's headline-grabbing legal win. The irony? Blake's ill-fated attempt to stir public sympathy ended up backfiring in a big way. Now, with the truth out in the open, both she and Reynolds are under a merciless spotlight that's none too flattering.
Breaking news, Justin Baldoni just got a big win, meaning Blake Lively got a big loss. She's on Saturday Night Live with Ryan making jokes, hitting back. I mean, is it not a little hypocritical? Is this a bad look of her if she's trying to tell the courts that we should stop talking about this in public? The judge makes a point of well, then why do you need 2 years worth? In her own suit, she alleges this campaign started in August. So why the reach for 2.5 years? Was nice to see the judge really sort of acknowledge that negative media campaign against her. But according to Lively's complaint, the negative campaign did not begin until August 2024. As they point out, the beginning of the plan to destroy reputation.
He assigned guilt to them, and it's sickening. It's sickening. And as a thinking person, we should have waited for the facts. Justin has already been fired from so many things.
Are her lawyers dumb? What's happening? Why do they keep making these mistakes and fumbling the ball like this?
And sometimes you get a judge who says, I'm going to let you cast a very wide net. Never as wide as they asked for, which is everybody, but they're going to let you cast a wide net. So I think they were hoping that maybe this judge was going to be somebody who would give them broad latitude.
She seems like a rather shitty person.
In the aftermath of the judge's ruling against Lively, the consequences are dire. This isn't just a slight misunderstanding or a minor hiccup. She basically tried to strong-arm the production, convinced she had every right to act as she pleased. What started as Justin Baldoni's passion project for Wayfair Studios devolved into a borderline coup, with Lively pushing the boundaries to hijack creative control. Ironically, the same tactics she used to sideline Baldoni came back to haunt her in court. From the beginning, she demanded more than just an acting role. Armed only with an executive producer credit, she massively overreached. Word spread that she rewrote crucial scenes, altered costume designs, and unilaterally fired the original editor, moves that caused serious friction behind the scenes at Wayfair Studios. But she didn't stop there. According to reports, she brought in her own hand-picked team, from composer to wardrobe designer to editor, elbowing aside the professionals Baldoni had chosen. This was less about creative input and more about a deliberate power grab. The studio, hoping for smoother sailing, got caught off guard. We just wanted it to go well. I literally had the movie with me on the plane.
There was absolutely no harassment. Those are made-up claims. She wrested his movie away from him and decided to try to hurt him with petty, made-up, out-of-context complaints. She and her husband are bullies, and now it's resulted in vicious cross litigations against both of them. The New York Times is being sued for defamation by Baldoni. She has started a fight she cannot win. She does appear like an Amber Heard to me. I have yet to see one of her complaints borne out. In fact, all of the ones I've seen have been undermined by his hardcore proof in text messaging and so on that puts a totally different light on her horrific allegations. Blake Lively may have a history of not being upfront when she gets cast in a movie, and she finally bumped into someone who was weak enough and not famous enough to stop her, right? This Justin Baldoni, most people had never even heard of him. He'd been in like one series. He certainly wasn't at Ryan Reynolds level fame, never mind Blake Lively.
Yesterday, Justin Baldoni's attorneys got back regarding that filing, and they basically called them out, as they always do. Lively parties have publicized and litigated Ms. Lively's claims in the media. We are surprised to now learn how vehemently she wants to prevent the public from accessing material and relevant evidence. A pretty strong argument.
A source from a major Hollywood studio revealed to Variety on February 22nd, 2025, that Lively's courtroom...
A pretty strong argument that it was clearly her team who leaked private text messages and leaked emails without any due process at all to the New York Times. So why are they coming at us pretending that, like, oh, such a thing could potentially ruin careers, when it seems like that's exactly what you were doing when you released these messages that only you had? Obviously, only you had them. And you're alleging that you received some of this via subpoena, whatever it is, but this was handed to the New York Times. Routinely attempted to rehabilitate her tarnished image with making bold statements to the press, such as characterizing the Wayfarer parties as quote-unquote another chapter in the abuse playbook, or trying to convince the press that her amended complaint saves her meritless claims. Ms. Lively's husband, Ryan Reynolds, stood up and made a joke about her claims for sexual harassment and emotional distress. Yeah, it's a pretty strong argument. Now you're saying like anything being revealed to the public would be too much, but weren't you guys the one that like made like a whole movie, Deadpool, about what was happening? Your whole thing was a publicity tour.
Then came her enormous miscalculation, an unapproved screening. While the film was still being cut, Lively decided to show an unauthorized rough version at a literary event, hoping to ignite early hype. Wayfarer Studios was blindsided. Besides violating protocol, it directly went against the studio's orders. Such a stunt wasn't just audacious, it disrupted industry norms entirely.
I also find it interesting that they're trying to pretend that it's a case, that they're essentially trying to protect people who may have been victimized by sexual harassment. But if you actually go back and review her initial filing from December 31st or December 20th, also she was desperately trying to signal to the public by dropping not even Easter eggs, just pointed blanket statements like that. So it's a crap argument. The point of this filing is supposed to be for Taylor Swift. 100% Ryan was the one who put this line in here. Not SNL, not Tina Fey, not Blake Lively, but Ryan. That they're guilty of a crime other than trying to salvage their investment.
And then there's the elephant in the room, her next movie.
This is how she was able to get the New York Times to doctor things to make you think that the PR agents were really up to this huge plan to smear her. This occurred after Ryan Reynolds had already posted in July for Sandra Bullock's birthday, Intimacy Recorder. You guys had already hatched the plan. We've sniffed that out. So to now learn that in October you're trying to create evidence and trails, and I even texted this person and said that I felt this way, right? That's what we're in, it's our art form. We want somebody to feel good because they are our friend, okay? I now think that her lawyers are just used to these sort of Me Too situations, because Me Too became a shakedown operation for a while. She says, and this is her defense of saying, I was never trying to take over the film, this really was about sexual harassment. She puts in bold, none of the requested protections, her 17 points that she wanted, were tied in any way to Ms. Lively's creative input in the film. So if at any point of her claiming that she felt uncomfortable around Justin Baldoni, if she felt that after she filmed one scene, the dance scene, where they're talking to each other and she lies and claims that he was out of character but forgot to mention that she was speaking to him out of character. Why didn't she just ask the intimacy coordinator from that day forward to be with her every step of the way? She didn't do that. Why is it that after that scene, which is supposed to be the huge scene that made her uncomfortable, did she invite him into her trailer while she was breastfeeding? You were always making things up that never were an issue. You had access to an intimacy coordinator, which is exactly what Justin Baldoni's team is alleging. They never deprived you of an intimacy coordinator. Another thing I want to point out is that she keeps running into conflict when she says that Justin Baldoni tried to change the script. That's a major point here. To be clear, Justin Baldoni disputes that. He's like, no, these were in here. And also, she actually kissed me a few times when we were not required to be intimate, which made me think that riffing and trying to figure out our chemistry was okay. Him doing anything off of the pre-agreed upon script is wrong. While at the same time, she argues, as we just saw, that she made plenty of changes to the script. And that was fine. He has no right to make one change. But you can get your dragons on board and say, actually, I changed the entire scene. Read it and like it, or you're gonna get burned. Set acknowledges, I changed the scenes, I wrote all these lines, not because I was trying to take over the movie, but because I'm a creative genius. I'm just so talented and I was trying to help. If you truly believe, Blake, that such behavior in that setting amounts to harassment, then you're gonna have to explain your husband. You're gonna have to explain why you are not out there defending the many victims that your husband must have as the king of riff. Everybody knows Deadpool, he's riffing all the time.
Normally, studios keep a tight grip on early cuts, especially if the film has a hefty budget. By ignoring established procedures, Lively sabotaged the strategic rollout, handing Baldoni crucial ammunition for his case. The drama soon went nuclear. It wasn't just about Lively trying to dominate creatively anymore. She went on the offensive. She allegedly leaked incriminating details to the New York Times to ruin Baldoni's reputation. The timing of the article, painting Baldoni and Wayfarer in a bad light, was suspiciously convenient, coinciding with her legal battles. Insiders believe Lively's camp leaked the story intentionally to sway public sentiment in her favor, but it all blew up in her face. In court, Lively found no support. One by one, her key legal maneuvers were struck down. First, she pushed for a gag order to muzzle Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, from discussing the case publicly. That was flatly rejected, allowing Friedman to continue disputing Lively's version of events. Next, she attempted to sidestep deposition, presumably to avoid Baldoni's team grilling her. That, too, was denied. The judge insisted she had to testify under oath, likely revealing more damaging details of her power plays. And if all that wasn't brutal enough, the judge also refused to place any restrictions on Baldoni's lawyer, meaning Friedman has free rein to dismantle her account in the public arena, a total disaster for Lively's carefully curated PR approach. In an industry that thrives on appearances, she's lost her grip on the narrative. The professional fallout for her is already visible. With this lawsuit hanging over her, studios are wary of partnering up. The production chaos around It Ends With Us alone is unsettling enough. No one wants to gamble millions on a project only to watch the lead actress seize control and derail it. Ryan Reynolds isn't safe from the blowback either. Rumor has it he supported Lively's hostile takeover, possibly with an eye to a future sequel, which tarnishes his usually unblemished Hollywood reputation. Let's be real. The gag order drama is the heart of Baldoni's latest victory. Blake Lively sauntered into this lawsuit, expecting to command the narrative, only to see the judge repeatedly slam doors in her face. In a string of humiliating defeats, her attempts to silence Baldoni's attorney, dodge depositions, and steer public opinion have all gone down in flames. Her latest Hail Mary? A gag order aimed at muzzling Baldoni's star litigator, Brian Friedman. But this wasn't just about keeping proceedings hush-hush. It was a blatant bid to stop Baldoni's side from airing all the dirt on how she wrested control of It Ends With Us. The request, filed in early February, was meant to salvage what remained of Lively's reputation, yet it failed miserably. On February 19, 2025, the court threw out her gag order bid. Now Friedman is free to speak as he pleases, and given his aggressive approach, that spells big trouble for Lively. He's already labeled her allegations as strategically misleading, and the judge just gave him permission to keep exposing her case misfires in public. It gets more disastrous for Lively. She tried to avoid testifying under oath, but the court wouldn't let her off. On February 15, 2025, her lawyers argued she didn't need to undergo a deposition, insisting her legal filings were enough and that questioning a high-profile figure like her was needlessly invasive. The judge saw right through that and denied her motion. So now Lively has to answer for every manipulative move, from rewriting scripts to bringing in her own editor, leaking stories, and maneuvering Wayfarer Studios. She can't spin her way out of it. Then came the harshest blow of all. The judge not only dismissed her requests for a gag order and her attempt to dodge depositions, but also rejected her plea to restrict what Baldoni's lawyer can publicly reveal. That effectively hands Friedman a blank check to discuss the lawsuit, and given his past statements, Lively's battered reputation is in even deeper trouble. Friedman previously accused Lively of hypocrisy, noting that she leaked confidential documents to the New York Times while simultaneously trying to seal key evidence. With no legal muzzle, expect him to spotlight even more damaging revelations. Hollywood is watching all this with a mix of fascination and caution. Industry insiders are speaking out about Lively's manipulative legal maneuvers and her attempts to still appear as the victim. Nobody's buying her spin anymore, especially after she tried to rewrite the entire film behind the scenes. A source at a major studio told Variety on February 22, 2025, that her litany of courtroom defeats is sending shockwaves through Tinseltown. Studios are reluctant to risk big budgets when an actress might sabotage the whole production the way she did with It Ends With Us. A legal expert told The Hollywood Reporter on February 25, 2025, that Lively's decisions are akin to career suicide. In their words, every legal maneuver she deploys backfires, and everyone's watching her sink in real time. With her deposition imminent, Friedman unrestrained, and no safety net left, the coming months look grim for Blake Lively's Hollywood future. The illusion of having everything under control is shattered, and the messy truth is set to surface. As it stands, her career is on the brink, and the industry seems more than willing to let it crash. After months of backlash, skepticism, and fiascos in court, she's become a liability no one wants near their marquee. This isn't just a rough patch. It's a chain of catastrophic decisions that spiraled out of control, and now everyone's distancing themselves, possibly for good. The public relations nightmare for Lively started in early 2024 but reached a fever pitch by January 2025. Fans initially slammed her portrayal of the domestic abuse themes in It Ends With Us, saying her performance and the marketing campaign missed the emotional mark entirely. The controversy peaked when the cringe-inducing, romanticized trailer premiered on January 14, 2025, drawing widespread outrage for sidestepping the heart of the book's message. Sony ended up scrambling to edit and re-release the trailer a week later, but the damage was already done. Then came Lively's series of lawsuits that only fueled the fire. Once Baldoni countered legally, alleging that Lively hijacked the film from the get-go, people wondered if she'd sabotaged it intentionally. Leaked emails, published by Variety on February 10th, showed her demanding script changes, firing editors, and handpicking a composer, none of which had official studio approval. Fans weren't the only ones enraged. Insiders chimed in, including a Sony executive who remarked that her ego doomed the movie, calling her constant interference a marketing and creative catastrophe. Lively's legal team tried to stifle Baldoni's side with a gag order, hoping to clamp down on the press coverage. The court shot it down immediately, clearing the way for Baldoni's camp to keep exposing her behind-the-scenes moves. Hollywood took note, and the fallout has been epic. Producers are calling this meltdown one of the most stunning in recent Hollywood memory. Not long ago, Lively was a bankable star, and now studios want nothing to do with her. A Warner Brothers producer told Deadline on February 25, 2025, that the studio halted any discussions about future projects featuring Lively, largely because of the legal turmoil swirling around her. A Netflix insider similarly confessed they'd consider her for a leading role in a thriller but walked away once Baldoni's suit went nuclear. Then there's her upcoming movie, slated for a summer 2025 release, which many see as her last stand. If that film bombs, it might seal her fate. A top Variety critic opined on February 27, 2025, the entire industry is paying attention to whether audiences reject Blake Lively at the box office. If they do, the studios will do the same. Adding another layer of tension is Ryan Reynolds, Lively's husband of more than a decade, who's now caught up in the wreckage. There are rumors he was jealous of a dance scene between her and Baldoni in It Ends With Us, with fans suggesting Reynolds is the real chess master pulling strings from the shadows. The theory says he spotted something he disliked and went nuclear, setting off the legal firestorm that is now devouring both Lively and Baldoni. It centers on a dance sequence between Lily, Lively, and Ryle, Baldoni. On the surface, it's a straightforward, intimate moment. But fans claimed it looked way too similar to the dance in Green Lantern, where Lively and Reynolds famously fell for each other in 2010. The scene's lighting, pacing, everything seemed like a carbon copy. People took to Twitter, now X, and Reddit earlier this month to share theories that Reynolds hated how close Lively and Baldoni appeared on screen. Oddly, the friction started once the public praised their chemistry, and soon after, rumors surfaced that Baldoni was supposedly challenging on set. By December 2024, Lively was accusing him of wrongdoing. Coincidence? Some even say Lively and Baldoni became close behind the scenes, which might have rattled Reynolds. Supposedly, the leaked texts from Baldoni, cited by the New York Times on February 8, 2025, revealed he'd often message Lively late at night, praising her performance or confiding personal struggles, an emotional bond that might have crossed a line for Reynolds. A source told Variety on February 12, 2025, that while Reynolds didn't try to micromanage everything, he was far from thrilled about how often Baldoni and Lively chatted. Baldoni's career spiraled in just a few weeks. His agency severed ties in early January 2025, podcast deals vanished, and 2 film projects evaporated. Who came out looking better? Blake Lively, and by extension, Ryan Reynolds. Legal analysts noted that Lively's lawsuit aimed for more than just film rights. She seemed to want a shift in Hollywood's power dynamics as well. Yet none of this changes the basic Hollywood equation. Big studios shy away from turmoil if it threatens profits. Wayfarer Studios, co-founded by Baldoni, has rapidly distanced itself from him, deleting his name from future film announcements. Lively's own reputation as a producer is shot after meddling too much with It Ends With Us. According to Variety's February 10, 2025 report, the brass at Sony now labels her unmanageable. If her next film flops, she's likely finished. After the fiasco between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, everyone in showbiz is extra cautious. Depp may have won legally, but his career never fully rebounded. Baldoni and Lively could face a similar fate. Even a win might not save them from massive industry pushback. The numbers are what matter in Hollywood. Lively has a big project slated for 2025, and if it tanks, the studios will cut her loose. Insiders told The Hollywood Reporter on February 25, 2025, that her star power isn't strong enough to weather another PR storm, and this scandal only makes it worse. Essentially, if audiences lose interest in her, so will the money men. As the legal battle escalated, a strange detail began circulating. Lively formed a suspiciously tight bond with her young co-star, Isabella Ferreira. Ferreira, 23, plays a younger version of Lively's character. Despite being 37 and a mother of 4, Lively invited Ferreira for sleepovers, showered her with pricey gifts, and treated her like a surrogate little sister. A Variety piece from February 10, 2025 noted, it wasn't just mentorship, there was an intensity to it. Critics suspect Lively cultivated this relationship to ensure Ferreira's loyalty, especially if a trial required more witnesses. Ferreira publicly backed Lively's claims against Baldoni, describing Lively as a comforting presence on set. But it's unclear if that was genuine or motivated by fear of repercussions, given Lively's clout in Hollywood. Some watchers suspect Lively wanted Ferreira's unwavering support in court, hoping to bolster her own argument against Baldoni. The entire dynamic looks shaky. Was it friendly guidance or manipulation? With Lively's reputation already battered, this only adds another layer of discomfort. As for where this lawsuit heads next, it's still up in the air. Stay tuned and subscribe to remain in the loop on every upcoming twist and turn.